Staff Sergeant Mike Reynolds' world had shrunk to the size of a fallen concrete pillar. Blood seeped through his makeshift bandage, turning the fabric of his combat pants a darker shade of Irvin camo. The metallic taste of defeat filled his mouth, a mixture of blood, dust, and the acrid smoke that filled what remained of New Denver's last defensive bunker. 36 hours. That's how long they'd held out after the main defensive line collapsed. 36 hours of hell, watching his friends die one by one as the Raxan methodically dismantled humanity's final stronghold. The aliens had been thorough. He'd give them that. Their energy weapons had carved through reinforced concrete like tissue paper, turning the underground bunker into a tomb for Earth's last organized resistance. A shadow passed overhead, one of the Raxan warships, its hull gleaming with that peculiar blue-black metal that seemed to drink in light. Reynolds pressed himself harder against the pillar, fighting back a grunt of pain as the movement sent fresh waves of agony through his injured leg. The wound wasn't immediately fatal. The energy blast had cauterized as it cut. But without medical attention, infection would set in soon. "Victory is absolute," came the clicking, mechanically translated voice of a Raxan commander. Reynolds held his breath as the alien strode past his hiding spot, its four-legged chassis making that distinctive hydraulic whir with each step. Search for survivors, but prioritize data retrieval. The Archon wants proof of humanity's extinction. Reynolds' hand tightened around his quantum communicator, damaged in the final assault but still functional. His neural implant tingled at the base of his skull, trying to establish a connection through the device's weakened signal. The Raxan had never bothered to jam the quantum frequencies. They'd dismissed human quantum technology as primitive, barely worth noting in their invasion plans. A glint of metal caught his eye, and his heart stopped. The Raxan commander had stepped on a holodeck, the advanced dog tags that stored a soldier's complete neural pattern up to their final moments. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper's name flickered on its scratched surface. Sarah, who'd been by his side since basic training, who'd saved his life more times than he could count. Sarah, who'd died covering their retreat just hours ago, her last words lost in the roar of collapse charges. Reynolds felt the familiar surge of rage rising above the pain. Sarah had deserved better than to die in this hole, better than to have her memory literally trampled by these arrogant invaders. His neural implant buzzed more insistently now, picking up fragments of the global defense network that the Raxan thought they'd destroyed. Through his combat visor's cracked display, Reynolds watched more Raxan troops fan out through the ruins. They moved with the confidence of absolute victors, not bothering to check thoroughly for survivors. Their sensors were probably showing them what they expected to see. No human life signs worth investigating, just scattered pieces of primitive technology powering down. That's when he remembered General Martinez's last transmission, the one that had seemed like the rambling of a desperate commander. Protocol Lazarus isn't about saving the living, son. It's about giving the fallen a voice. At the time, Reynolds had written it off as poetic last words. Now, as his neural implant made contact with fragments of the quantum network, he began to understand. He looked again at Sarah's holotag, its surface scratched but its memory core intact. The Raxan hadn't even bothered to collect them, not realizing that each tag contained more than just identification. They held the neural patterns, memories, and combat instincts of humanity's finest warriors, patterns that could be uploaded, integrated, weaponized. Reynolds allowed himself a grim smile as he began the quantum interface sequence. The Raxan wanted proof of humanity's extinction. He'd give them something better, proof that humanity had transcended extinction itself. All he needed was access to the defense grid, and thanks to these overconfident aliens, his neural link was slowly but surely connecting to systems they thought were dead. The real war was about to begin. The Raxan celebration echoed through the ruins of New Denver like a twisted funeral dirge. Reynolds watched through his visor as they methodically planted their victory markers, crystalline spires that pulsed with sickly green light. Each one they drove into Earth's soil was another desecration, another claim of ownership over his home. His neural implant hummed steadily now, its connection to the quantum network growing stronger. Most humans got the basic military-grade implants: enhanced reaction time, tactical overlay, basic battlefield awareness. But Special Forces operators like Reynolds had something extra, something the Raxan's intelligence had completely missed: quantum consciousness integration protocols. "Section clear," announced another Raxan patrol, their heavy footsteps moving away from his position. Proceeding with monument destruction sequence. Reynolds' jaw clenched as he watched them approach the fallen statue of humanity's first contact. The bronze figures, human and alien hands clasped in friendship, had stood as a symbol of hope for decades. The Raxan commander raised its weapon, energy building at the barrel. That's when Sarah's holotag pulsed in his hand. The quantum network was recognizing it, attempting to integrate its stored neural pattern. Reynolds had seen the process before in training simulations, but this was different. This wasn't just copying data. This was preserving the essence of who Sarah Cooper had been. His vision blurred momentarily as the neural link expanded. Suddenly, he wasn't just Reynolds anymore. Sarah's combat instincts merged with his consciousness, her expert knowledge of battlefield electronics, her uncanny ability to spot tactical advantages. It felt like having her watching his back again, only this time from inside his own mind. "Remember Lazarus Protocol training, Mike?" He heard her voice, a memory from months ago. "It's not about storing memories. It's about storing will." The pieces clicked into place. General Martinez hadn't just been preserving troops' neural patterns. She'd been building an army that death couldn't stop. Every fallen soldier's holotag contained not just their memories, but their tactical knowledge, their fighting spirit, their very essence. Through his enhanced connection, Reynolds began detecting more holotags scattered throughout the ruins. Hundreds of them, thousands across the globe, each containing the neural pattern of a fallen warrior. The Raxan hadn't destroyed Earth's army. They'd merely helped humanity upload it into the quantum network. His fingers moved across the damaged quantum communicator, inputs guided by both his training and Sarah's integrated expertise. The defense grid responded eagerly, like a sleeping giant finally receiving its wake-up call. Automated factories, orbital platforms, drone networks, all lying dormant, waiting for the right consciousness to guide them. Pain shot through his injured leg, but Reynolds barely noticed. The neural integration was showing him possibilities the Raxan couldn't begin to imagine. Their arrogance had led them to ignore humanity's primitive technology, never realizing it was all connected, all waiting, all part of a plan that went beyond conventional warfare. Signal detected in debris, a Raxan scout suddenly announced, its sensors finally picking up the quantum fluctuations. Possible human technology activating. "Disregard," came the commander's response. "Their systems are dying. Let them fade into extinction with dignity." Reynolds almost laughed. Dignity. These aliens understood nothing about human dignity. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or defenses. It was in its ability to preserve, adapt, and overcome. Through the quantum network, he began the activation sequence. Sarah's neural pattern helped him optimize the power distribution, routing around damaged systems with an efficiency he couldn't have managed alone. Across the globe, dormant systems began to wake up, guided by the merged consciousness of the living and the fallen. "For the fallen," Reynolds whispered, initiating the final sequence. "For Earth." The Raxan would learn too late that they hadn't just been fighting the soldiers they could see. They'd been fighting every human warrior who had ever uploaded their consciousness to the network. And now, as automated factories hummed to life and orbital platforms emerged from standby, those warriors were about to rise again. Humanity's counterattack was about to begin, led by an army that had already died once, and therefore had nothing left to lose. The first hint that something was wrong came from a junior Raxan technician. Its sensor arrays detected anomalous energy signatures rippling through Earth's defense grid, patterns that pulsed with an almost organic rhythm. The technician, following standard protocol, filed it as a routine decay notification. That was its first mistake. Reynolds felt the change through his neural link as Sarah's consciousness fully integrated with the quantum network. It wasn't just her tactical knowledge now. It was her determination, her fury at the invasion, her unrelenting will to protect Earth. And she wasn't alone. Multiple quantum signatures detected. The Raxon command channel crackled through his visor's intercepted feed. Pattern matches human neural activity, but scale is impossible. Reynolds smiled through the pain in his leg. Impossible was humanity's specialty. Across the globe, thousands of holotags were activating, each one releasing the stored neural patterns of fallen soldiers into the defense network. Captain Rodriguez's expertise in urban warfare, Lieutenant Chen's mastery of orbital mechanics, Sergeant Mitchell's unconventional drone tactics, all of them preserved and now awakening. They still don't understand, do they? Sarah's presence whispered through the neural link. Her consciousness, now fully digital, helped Reynolds navigate the complex web of awakening systems. They thought death was our weakness. Through the quantum network, Reynolds watched as humanity's true defensive capabilities stirred to life. Automated factories that the Raxon had dismissed as debris began their startup sequences. Orbital platforms, running on minimal power to avoid detection, initialized their weapon systems. But these weren't simple automated defenses. Each system was being infused with the consciousness of fallen soldiers, their experience and intuition giving the machines human unpredictability. Alert! A Raxon commander barked. Human technology showing signs of reactivation. Analysis suggests. The aliens' transmission cut off as the first wave of quantum interference hit their communications network. That was Major Diana Wong's specialty. Electronic warfare, now amplified by her consciousness, spreading through Earth's satellite grid. The Raxon's supposedly unbreakable encryption began to crack under the assault of a human mind that had transcended its physical form. Reynolds winced as he shifted position, but the pain was becoming secondary to the exhilaration of what he was witnessing. The neural patterns were doing more than just activating dormant systems. They were combining, evolving, becoming something greater than the sum of their parts. Soldiers who had fought together in life were instinctively connecting in the digital realm, their combined experiences creating battle strategies that no eye could predict. Multiple facilities activating worldwide. The Raxon command channel was chaos now. Energy signatures exceed all previous human capabilities. Request immediate orbital strike authorization. But their weapons were already being turned against them. Colonel Hendrick's consciousness, a legend in cyber warfare, had infiltrated their targeting systems. Each attempt to launch an orbital strike was subtly redirected, the energy weapons firing into empty space or their own secondary positions. You know what the really beautiful part is, Mike? Sarah's presence guided his hands as they interfaced with more systems. They killed us thinking it would break humanity's spirit. Instead, they just gave us the ultimate upgrade. The quantum network was approaching full power now. Reynolds felt the consciousness of thousands of fallen soldiers flowing through the digital space, each one bringing their skills, their determination, and their resolve to the fight. The Raxon had wiped out Earth's conventional military, but in doing so, they had forced humanity to transcend traditional warfare. Through his cracked visor, Reynolds watched as the first wave of enhanced drones rose from hidden silos, not with the rigid movements of machines, but with the fluid grace of veteran pilots. Each drone was an extension of a fallen soldier's will, moving with human intuition, but free from human limitations. Warning: the Raxon command channel erupted. Multiple human consciousness signatures detected in defense network. They're not just activating their technology, they're becoming one with it. Reynolds allowed himself a grim smile as he initiated the next phase. The Raxon were about to learn why you should never corner a species that had turned death itself into a weapon. Earth's fallen soldiers were rising again, and this time, they were bringing an arsenal that defied the very laws of conventional warfare. The real battle for Earth was about to begin. The first drone struck like lightning, a precision blast that sheared through the Raxon commander's legs before it could react. The alien crashed to the ground, mandibles clicking in confusion. Its sensors had detected the drone only milliseconds before impact, far too late to engage countermeasures. Because the drone hadn't moved like a machine. It had moved like Lieutenant Sarah Cooper on her best day. Just like Kazakhstan, Sarah's digital presence hummed through Reynolds' neural link. Remember that ambush we led against the separatist mechs? Reynolds did remember. Sarah had revolutionized drone warfare with her unconventional tactics, having drones mimic human movement patterns to confuse enemy targeting systems. Now her consciousness was doing the same thing on a global scale, but with a level of integration that would have been impossible in her physical form. Through the quantum network, he watched as more drones emerged from hidden installations worldwide. Each one moved with the distinctive style of the soldier whose consciousness guided it. Sergeant Jackson's units charged with his trademark aggression, creating chaos in Raxan formations. Captain Chen's drones demonstrated her sniper's patience, striking critical targets with devastating precision. Multiple pattern anomalies, a Raxan tactical officer reported, panic creeping into its translated voice. These drones, they're exhibiting individual combat behaviors, impossible to predict. The aliens' confusion was understandable. Their tactical computers were designed to counter machine logic, to find patterns in automated attacks. But these weren't machines they were fighting anymore. They were the digitized souls of Earth's finest warriors, freed from physical limitations, but retaining all their human ingenuity. Reynolds grimaced through another wave of pain as he expanded his neural connection. The quantum network was showing him everything, every drone strike, every Raxan response, every tactical opportunity. And with Sarah's consciousness merged with his, they were exploiting those opportunities with deadly efficiency. They're adapting. The Raxan command channel erupted with warnings. Each destroyed drone is somehow improving the tactical parameters of the others. Of course we are, Reynolds muttered, watching through surveillance feeds as the drone swarms evolved their tactics. Every drone that fell was feeding combat data back to the quantum network, where thousands of veteran consciousnesses analyzed and improved upon the information in microseconds. A massive Raxan war machine emerged from their landing craft, its energy shields humming with power. Under normal circumstances, it would have been a devastating force on the battlefield. But these weren't normal circumstances. Remember Sergeant Morrison's crazy tank tactics. Sarah's presence sparked with anticipation. Reynolds smiled. Morrison had been infamous for using light vehicles in ways that defied conventional military doctrine. Now his consciousness was controlling a swarm of smaller drones, having them attack the Raxan machine like a pack of wolves bringing down larger prey. The war machine's shields flared as it tried to track multiple small targets moving with unpredictable, almost organic patterns. Morrison's drones darted through its defensive fire, each taking advantage of blind spots that only a veteran tank commander would recognize. Within minutes, the mighty war machine lay disabled, its crew evacuating in panic. Multiple consciousness signatures detected in defense grid. A Raxan analyst's report cut through the chaos. They're not just controlling the drones, they are teaching them. That was humanity's true advantage. Each fallen soldier in the quantum network retained not just their combat skills, but their ability to learn, adapt, and improvise. The drones weren't simply following programming. They were extending the human talent for warfare into the machine realm. Through his visor, Reynolds watched as formations of drones executed complex battlefield maneuvers that spanned centuries of human military history. Alexander Smolensk's tactics, Napoleon's artillery strategies, modern special forces infiltration techniques, all of them adapted and enhanced by machines that thought with human creativity but moved with mechanical precision. Next phase, Sarah's presence asked, though she already knew the answer. Reynolds nodded, initiating the sequence that would activate the orbital platforms. The Raxan had thought themselves masters of space warfare. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest space combat pilots hadn't died. They'd merely been waiting in digital form, ready to show the aliens what real void combat looked like. The battle for Earth's skies was about to begin. The sky above New Denver erupted in chaos as the orbital platforms came online, not with the predictable patterns of automated defense systems, but with the calculated fury of Earth's greatest space combat aces, their consciousness now freed from the constraints of human physiology. Remember Commander Yuki's crazy slingshot maneuver from the Mars Rebellion? Sarah's digital presence sparked with excitement through the neural link. Before Reynolds could respond, they watched as a squadron of orbital fighters executed the impossible move, accelerating around Earth's gravity well at speeds that would have liquefied a human pilot. The Raxan fleet responded with typical methodical precision, their targeting computers trying to establish firing solutions. But you couldn't create an algorithm to predict human instinct, especially when that instinct was operating at the speed of thought. Multiple human consciousness signatures detected an orbital defense grid. The Raxan command channel crackled with increasing desperation. They're executing combat maneuvers that violate basic physics protocols. Reynolds couldn't help but smile through his pain. The aliens didn't understand that human pilots had always pushed the boundaries of what their machines could do. Now, with their consciousness directly merged with the fighters, those boundaries had ceased to exist. Colonel Maria Santiago's signature moves were clearly visible in the swarm of fighters harassing the Raxan's flagship, the same unpredictable attack patterns that had made her legendary during the asteroid belt campaigns. Only now her consciousness was controlling dozens of fighters simultaneously, coordinating them with a precision impossible for a single human brain. Their ships are equipped with bioneural interfaces, Sarah's presence noted, analyzing the tactical data streaming through their link. Similar to our quantum network, but more rigid, more predictable. Reynolds saw the opportunity immediately. The Raxan's greatest strength, their hyper-advanced bioneural ships, could become their critical weakness. Through the quantum network, he initiated a new attack protocol, one that would have seemed insane just hours ago. The consciousness of Lieutenant Cooper, running on the quantum network, began probing the Raxan's bioneural interfaces. They had created their ships to think, but in doing so, they had made them vulnerable to something they never expected: human consciousness invasion. Warning: the Raxan command channel dissolved into chaos. Unknown entities attempting to access ship consciousness. Primary controls becoming unresponsive. Through his cracked visor, Reynolds watched the first Raxan cruiser turn its weapons against its own fleet. Sarah's consciousness had found a way in, using the aliens' own technology against them. The quantum network surged with activity as more fallen soldiers followed her lead, their digital spirits invading and overwhelming the rigid thought patterns of the bioneural ships. The fever from his wound was getting worse, but Reynolds barely noticed. The merged consciousness of humanity's defenders was creating a symphony of destruction in the skies above Earth. Fighters moved like swarms of angry wasps, their human pilots executing maneuvers that no eye would ever conceive. Captured Raxan vessels fired with deadly accuracy, guided by the intuition of Earth's best tactical officers. Multiple fleet elements compromised. The Raxan Admiral's transmission cut through the chaos. Human neural patterns are. They're teaching our ships how to think differently. That was the fundamental difference between human and Raxan approach to neural technology. The aliens had created ships that could think. Humanity had created a way for thoughts to become ships. More signatures incoming, Sarah reported through their link. The quantum network is reaching other defense installations. We're about to show them what humanity's full arsenal looks like. Reynolds nodded, initiating the commands that would activate humanity's last line of defense. Across the globe, hidden facilities began manufacturing something the Raxan had never encountered: nanite swarms infused with human consciousness. Each microscopic machine carried a fragment of a soldier's fighting spirit, ready to disassemble and repurpose any technology they encountered. The Raxan were about to learn that humanity hadn't just preserved its soldiers' minds, it had evolved them into something entirely new. As the nanite swarms rose like silver clouds into the battle-scarred sky, Reynolds knew the real demonstration of human warfare was about to begin. The aliens had wanted to witness humanity's extinction. Instead, they were about to witness its transcendence. The nanite swarms rose like living mercury, catching starlight in their billion-fold dance. Each microscopic machine carried a fragment of human consciousness, a spark of the determination that had defined Earth's warriors throughout history. The Raxan watched in confusion as what appeared to be silver clouds began to approach their fleet. Scanner malfunction, a Raxan technician reported, detecting millions of quantum consciousness signatures in these clouds. Reynolds could feel the fever burning hotter now, his injured leg a symphony of pain, but his connection to the quantum network remained strong. Through it, he sensed Sarah's presence directing squadrons of consciousness-infused nanites with the same precision she'd once used to coordinate special forces teams. "Remember our nanotech training?" Sarah's digital voice carried a hint of amusement. "They told us it was theoretical, a backup plan too ambitious to ever work." The first nanite swarm made contact with a Raxan destroyer. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien ship's hull began to shimmer as billions of microscopic machines, each carrying a fragment of human combat experience, began to disassemble and repurpose its technology. Impossible. The Raxan commander's transmission crackled with static. "They're not just destroying our ships, they're converting them." That was humanity's ultimate weapon, the ability to adapt and repurpose anything they encountered. The nanites weren't simply destroying Raxan technology. They were learning from it, improving it, and turning it into something new, something human. Through his neural link, Reynolds directed a portion of the swarm toward the Raxan's flagship. The nanites moved with eerie intelligence, displaying the combined tactical knowledge of thousands of fallen soldiers. They flowed through energy shields as if they didn't exist, exploiting frequencies that only veteran electronic warfare specialists would know about. Hull breach detected. Panic spread through the Raxan command channel. "These machines, they're operating with organic precision." "Of course they are," Reynolds muttered, watching through various feeds as the battle unfolded. The nanites weren't just machines. They were the embodiment of human ingenuity, each one guided by the accumulated combat wisdom of Earth's finest. Sarah's consciousness spread through the swarms, coordinating their attacks with a complexity that would have been impossible in her physical form. The nanites moved like three-dimensional battle formations, executing strategies that spanned centuries of human warfare, from ancient Roman tactics to modern special operations procedures. A massive Raxan carrier attempted to retreat, its engines flaring bright enough to rival the stars. But the nanites pursued with relentless determination, guided by the consciousness of pilots who had once chased pirates through the asteroid belt. Within minutes, the carrier's hull began to transform, its alien geometry shifting into something that blended Raxan and human engineering. The human consciousness, it's rewriting our core systems. The Raxan admiral's voice held a note of revelation. Every piece of technology they touch becomes an extension of their neural network. Reynolds smiled through the pain as he watched humanity's greatest strength demonstrate itself. The ability to take an enemy's advantages and make them their own. The converted Raxan ships were becoming hybrid vessels, their bioneural systems enhanced by the accumulated experience of Earth's space warfare veterans. Multiple ships compromised. The Raxan tactical network erupted with warnings. The human neural pattern is spreading through our entire battle network. Through their quantum link, Sarah's presence felt triumphant. "They thought our consciousness backup systems were for preservation," she said. "They never guessed they were weapons." Reynolds nodded, even as another wave of fever washed over him. The nanite swarms were growing, replicating themselves using converted Raxan technology. Each new generation carried the combined knowledge of human warfare, creating a constantly evolving army that thought with human creativity, but fought with mechanical precision. "Should we show them what else we can do?" Sarah asked, her consciousness already preparing to initiate the next phase. Reynolds began the sequence that would reveal humanity's final surprise. The Raxan were about to learn that the nanites weren't just weapons. They were seeds. Seeds of a new kind of warfare that would rewrite the very definition of what it meant to fight. The galaxy was about to witness the true power of humanity's legacy. The stars above New Denver had changed. Where once there had been a Raxan invasion fleet, now there was a swirling dance of silver and blue, hybrid ships and nanite swarms, moving with distinctly human grace. But Reynolds barely saw it through his increasingly blurred vision. The fever from his wound had reached a critical point, and even the neural link couldn't fully compensate anymore. Mike. Sarah's digital presence carried an edge of concern he hadn't heard since their last physical battle together. Your vital signs are crashing. We need to get you medical attention. Not yet. He ground out, maintaining his focus on the quantum network. Through it, he could feel the battle turning into something unprecedented. A war where the lines between organic and digital, human and machine, were dissolving with every passing second. The Raxan's remaining ships had pulled back to a defensive formation, but it was already too late. Their bioneural networks, designed to mimic organic thought processes, had become their greatest vulnerability. Human consciousness flowed through their systems like a digital flood, rewriting, adapting, evolving. Unknown configuration detected in converted vessels. A Raxan analyst reported, their translated voice thick with disbelief. The human neural patterns, they're not just controlling our ships. They're teaching them to think like humans. Through the tactical feeds, Reynolds watched as the hybrid ships demonstrated this truth. They moved with impossible combinations of Raxan technology and human intuition, executing maneuvers that neither species would have conceived alone. The consciousness of Earth's fallen soldiers had found a way to merge the best of both worlds. Multiple command ships compromised. The Raxan tactical net crackled. Engineering teams report complete loss of bioneural control. The human consciousness it's showing our ships how to dream. Sarah's presence rippled through the quantum network, her tactical genius now operating on a scale that would have been impossible in physical form. They never understood, Mike. They thought consciousness was just data to be stored. They didn't realize it was a force that could reshape reality. Reynolds tried to respond, but a wave of dizziness hit him. His neural link flickered, the connection to the quantum network temporarily destabilizing. In that moment, he felt the full weight of what humanity had achieved and what it had cost. Every consciousness in the network was a soldier who had died defending Earth. Every tactical innovation came from a mind that had sacrificed everything for humanity's survival. They had transcended death itself, but the price had been their physical existence. Incoming transmission. Sarah's presence suddenly sharpened. The Raxan Admiral is requesting direct neural contact. Through their hybrid systems, the Admiral's consciousness touched the quantum network. Reynolds felt the alien's shock as it encountered not just human thought patterns, but the vast library of human combat experience, emotion, and determination that now filled the digital realm. We miscalculated. The Admiral's thoughts carried clear even through the translation protocols. We thought we were fighting a primitive species. Instead, we fought one that had transcended the very concept of defeat. The remaining Raxan ships began powering down their weapons. Not surrender in the traditional sense. The Admiral's consciousness radiated a deeper understanding. The aliens had finally grasped that they weren't just fighting human soldiers. They were fighting the distilled essence of humanity's warrior spirit, preserved and evolved beyond physical limitations. Mike. Sarah's presence became urgent. Your body temperature is critical. We need to. Reynolds barely heard her. His vision was tunneling, the neural link starting to fade. But through it, he could still feel the quantum network humming with the combined consciousness of Earth's defenders. They had won, not through superior technology or numbers, but through humanity's greatest strength, the ability to preserve, adapt, and transcend. As darkness crept into the edges of his awareness, Reynolds initiated one final command sequence. If his body failed, his consciousness would join the others in the quantum network. The Raxan would learn that even in defeat, humanity had found a way to achieve a kind of immortality. The war was ending, but humanity's evolution was just beginning. Reynolds awoke to the steady beep of medical equipment and the soft hum of quantum interfaces. The ceiling above him was no longer the broken concrete of the bunker, but the pristine white of a medical bay. His neural link buzzed with familiar presence. Sarah's consciousness, along with thousands of others, still connected through the quantum network. "Welcome back to the land of the living," a voice said. Dr. Elena Martinez stood beside his bed, her medical uniform bearing the new insignia of Earth's hybrid defense force. Though these days, that's becoming a relative term. Through his neural link, Reynolds could feel the changes that had swept across Earth in the 3 days he'd been unconscious. The Raxan fleet had been completely transformed, their bioneural ships now part of a vast network that bridged the gap between human and machine consciousness. More importantly, the signal of their defeat had spread across the galaxy, carrying with it an unexpected message. "They're calling it the Great Transcendence," Sarah's digital presence explained, her consciousness flowing clearly through his restored neural link. Every species in the galaxy just watched humanity turn death itself into a weapon of evolution. Reynolds tried to sit up, but Dr. Martinez gently pushed him back. "Easy, Sergeant. Your body's still recovering, even if your mind's been busy." She wasn't exaggerating. While his physical form had fought off infection, his consciousness had remained partially connected to the quantum network, witnessing humanity's transformation. The hybrid ships now orbiting Earth weren't just vessels. They were homes for the digital consciousness of fallen soldiers who had chosen to remain in their transcended form. "The Raxan Admiral has requested a formal conference," Sarah informed him, her presence tinged with amusement. "Apparently they want to understand how a primitive species managed to turn neural backup technology into a form of technological ascension." Through the quantum network, Reynolds could see the changes playing out across the planet. The nanite swarms had evolved beyond weapons, becoming tools of reconstruction. Each swarm still carried the consciousness fragments of fallen soldiers, but now they used that human intuition to rebuild rather than destroy. "You should see the new defense platforms," Sarah continued, projecting images through their link. "Hybrid technology guided by human consciousness. We're not just preserving our fallen warriors anymore. We're helping them evolve into something entirely new." Dr. Martinez checked his vital signs, nodding with satisfaction. "Your neural integration is stable. The fever actually helped strengthen your connection to the quantum network. Sometimes I think the human body is just as full of surprises as human consciousness." Reynolds finally managed to sit up, looking out the window at the transformed skyline of New Denver. Hybrid structures rose like living crystal, each one housing thousands of digital consciousness signatures. The fallen had not only survived, they had created a new form of existence. "General Martinez's last words make more sense now," he said softly. "Lazarus Protocol wasn't just about preserving our dead. It was about giving humanity a path to transcend death itself." Through the quantum network, he felt the acknowledgement of thousands of consciousness signatures, soldiers who had died defending Earth, now reborn as hybrid beings that existed in the space between digital and physical reality. They were no longer bound by the limitations of flesh, yet they retained every spark of human creativity and determination. "The galaxy's calling it the human paradigm." Sarah's presence brightened. "The ability to turn defeat into evolution, to preserve not just memories, but the very essence of who we are." Dr. Martinez smiled as she made final adjustments to his medical interface. The Raxan thought they were ending humanity's story. Instead, they just helped us write its next chapter. Reynolds nodded, feeling the strength of the quantum network flowing through him. Humanity hadn't just survived. It had discovered a new form of existence, one that preserved everything that made them human while transcending the boundaries of physical form. "Ready to help shape that next chapter?" Sarah asked, her consciousness bright with possibility. Reynolds smiled, reaching out through the quantum network to touch the vast web of human consciousness that now spanned Earth and its hybrid fleet. The Raxan had tried to exterminate humanity, but instead they had forced them to evolve. Now the galaxy would watch as humanity explored what it truly meant to transcend the very concept of extinction. "Always ready, Lieutenant," he replied. "Always ready."